just feel you're a little bit off for a lot of today, Dimma?
Yeah, and damage was done in the first quarter. Yeah, I thought, and credit to Fremantle, they're very good. High contest, high pressure. Defensively, very strong behind the ball. We gave up, I think, 4.5 turnovers in the first quarter. We just couldn't move the ball, but a lot of those were on the back of our what we call giveaways, which are unforced skill errors, and it just was quite frustrating because generally our guys are pretty good in those situations, but case in point was probably the Joel Jeffrey handball straight to the opposition, which ends up in a goal. And in high pressure games, it wasn't Joel's fault. He's been outstanding this year, but that's probably the game in itself. That first quarter was a reflection of that. So it was disappointing. The pleasing thing for me, as much as it is out of a loss, we did continue to fight. We knew it was going to be an arm wrestle all day. I think I said at the start of the game, they're better than their record reflects. They're obviously marching up the ladder now. They've had some really good games, and they had plus 26. Like Collingwood won the game, but they should have beaten Collingwood on their plus 26 inside 50. So we've just got some areas that we need to get better in. Guys, we identified those, and we'll get better next week.
You happy with the attitude the players still took into that game, despite getting jumped in that first quarter like they did with Freo's pressure?
Attitude is in...
From the player, there's no complacency?
No, well, that was a high-pressure game. We didn't play our moments very well. Pressure it's two. It's either there or it's perceived. And, once again, we probably thought the pressure was there and it wasn't there as much, and we tended to handball the ball straight to them or to their numbers, which we're normally better at. Once again, there's some things that we can fix, there's some things that we've identified, and there's things that we'll train this week to make sure it doesn't happen again.
You've won probably 3 or 4 tight games this year. You got yourself into position again.
Yeah.
Were you happy with the execution late, or is there stuff you can...
Oh, look, there's always some stuff. We did have a play on the ball on that far side, and then Shea Bolton made a hell of a tackle. It was a great bit of play. There's a reason he's one of the best players in the comp. It's for things like that. We get that ball out, we might have gone down and given ourselves a chance. But, once again, moments are pretty special, and that was a pretty good moment by Shea.
Speaking of pretty special moments, Leo Lombard got his first goal. How good was it for you to be able to see him have a moment like that on his debut?
Yeah, it was good. It was a good goal from stoppage. We'd have got the ball to him, and it's a great story for our footy club and for our academy piece. That kid, without the academy piece, is playing rugby sort of thing. So we're really excited. And, he's going to get better and better sort of thing. He showed some really good signs today, did some nice stuff. So we're looking forward to him continuing that and making sure he gets better every week.
Did his emotion bring a smile to your face when he kicked that?
Yeah, it did. It was hard not to, wasn't it, sort of thing. I think he made sure he high-fived everyone, including half the crowd, I think. But, that's what footy's about. It's special, player's first goal. Been dying to represent this club since the day he pulled on a jumper as a 6 or 7 year old. So it's a pretty cool moment.
1-2 ruck combination with Ned and Jared today. It's rare that you see both teams going with that in terms of pure ruckman. Do you see that as a long-term strategy for your best team? Oh,
we just see it as a strategy. It's going to be, horses for courses, obviously, with Darcy and Jackson today. It was one of those ones, scores from stoppage we were really strong in. I think we scored more goals from stoppages than we did from turnover today, which is unlike us. So I thought we had good dominance in there. Our clearance game was okay, sort of thing. But, once again, that will change from week to week.
Can I ask as well about the ongoing captaincy of Noah? I mean, purely on numbers today, an outstanding game, but are you really pleased with the way he's growing as a leader throughout the season?
Yeah, I think so. You only look at the way he can influence his side, and he's got a really good understanding. He and his leadership group, to be honest, are an extension of the coaching group, so they're seeing things and able to change the game before it's needed by us, if that makes sense. And that's the sign of a great captain and a great leadership group. And we were pleased with it. They couldn't get it done today, but it's not to say they weren't. A for effort type thing. We just couldn't quite get the result we're after, couldn't quite get the game we were after as well. Look, it was a tough day at the office. Conditions were incredibly tough for both sides. I just thought they played their moments better, took their chances more, and we just didn't capitalise when we had a couple of opportunities.
What's been your message to Ethan Reid after putting him back?
Oh, Reedy knows how much I love him as a player. I sort of... I think I've got more confidence in Ethan than Ethan does. Sometimes he's very hard on himself, and I've got to keep reminding him, mate, you're 19 years of age. He's getting himself in some outstanding positions the cream's just not coming for him at the moment. But you know, in 12 months' time, 6 months' time, 18 months' time, he's going to be a wonderful talent for us, and we'll continue to invest in him and Jed. They're both 19. We're going to remind ourselves as coaches, but more importantly, remind them as young men. There's not many other sides who've got two 19-year-old key position players, you know, for the vast majority of the year, and we've been really pleased with their growth from last year to this year, and they're only going to get better and better, which is exciting for us.
Everything clear with Bailey's shoulder?
Yeah, I think so. We just had a bit of a stinger sort of thing. You know, players have that sort of throughout time, so he'll be fine.
You're in a pretty tough stretch of matches, and it keeps coming next weekend. Are you? What are you learning about your team at the moment now that you're playing these sort of contenders, for lack of a better term?
Yeah, we always give ourselves a chance. We're always in the game, aren't we? You know, and we've got to remind ourselves we're 8-3. You know, we've played Hawthorn. You know, the last 4 weeks, Hawthorn, Bulldogs, two really good sides that we managed to beat both. You know, St Kilda were coming off a hiding from West Coast. You know, they brought in their experienced players, dropped some younger players, so another tough challenge away. Today was disappointing. There's no doubt about that. But as I've said, they're a really, really good side, Fremantle. They're a side that I think people probably underestimate, but I think within AFL circles we know how good they are. Thanks, guys.